So today we're going to interview Emily and Adam from Happy Hens and Highlands, and I'm super excited to visit with them. They've done a lot of interesting things with their marketing and building their program, and I'm excited to learn how they figured it all out over the years.
Yeah, they definitely have quite the following on social media. It'll be interesting to see what they have, and I've never actually spoken with them, so I'm excited to meet them today.
Hi, I'm Molly.
And I'm Jamie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast. As the owners of Hired Hand website software, we've been developing websites and creating internet marketing strategies for livestock breeders for the past 10 years.
The majority of our customers are involved in the breeding of registered animals, such as Texas Longhorns, Highland cattle, horses, and white-tailed deer, where the pedigrees are very important. The From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast examines many of the differences in raising pedigreed livestock for maximum profit. Join us and learn what we're covering today.
Today we have Emily and Adam with us from Happy Hens and Highlands. Where are you located in North Carolina?
We're in Burnsville, North Carolina, in the mountains.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about just your program in general, maybe about how you guys got started specifically with the Highlands.
So back in, I guess it was in 2013, I began a job. Well, I was working for Tractor Supply, and I really enjoyed the job, but was kind of getting tired of driving to work every day. So I was out almost an hour or longer drive every day to work, and I just kind of wanted to work somewhere a little closer. Because before that, I had been going to school at Haywood Community College for fish and wildlife management, and that was like a 3-4 hour round trip every day, and then plus my job, and I was just totally burnt out on driving. Began to look for another job. Ended up working found a job with the animal rescue just down the road from the house. Still wasn't completely satisfied with the work. I wanted to do something that felt a little more meaningful. Not that the animal rescue didn't fulfill that need. It was nice to feel like I was helping animals and like working close to home. But it just still didn't seem right. And we both always grew up with animals. Emily always had cows and sheep, horses, and all that kind of stuff. I had a couple horses when I was younger, really young, but always had dogs and cats, and we raised a small garden. So we wanted to kind of, I don't know, we'd been reading a lot of books like about being self-sufficient, like self-sustaining. We wanted to like be able to grow our own garden and like maybe have some goats and some chickens and all that kind of stuff. And so I was really dead set on getting some like Nubian or Nigerian dwarf goats or something like that, just to have around, like, or maybe even some meat goats or something like that. And Emily just kind of was going along with it. It's like, whatever. I mean, okay. But during that whole time, like I was still working for the animal rescue, and I ended up losing my job. I don't even know what happened. It was a bad fit. It was all for the good. Now I look back at it. But Emily, during that time, like I had a lot of anxiety and just about the future. And Emily was going out of town, and that is January of 2014. She was gone for a month to San Francisco to a jewelry college. And while she was gone, I just began to do more research about farming and what we wanted to do with our future. And I just started thinking about Highland cattle, like pretty randomly. I'd never in my life once thought about owning a cow, especially the Highland cow. I remembered a few occasions of Emily talking about like wanting one, and I'm like, kind of started thinking, well, maybe it'd be better just to get a Highland cow, because then if I had a couple of those, then you'd only really need like 2 as opposed to like 10 or 15 goats, and probably easier to keep in. And so I started researching Highland cattle, and then kind of went from there. Told Emily about my idea about getting some cows. She really liked it, and so then the search was on.
So how many head did you start with?
Well, we were planning on getting one, and then, made some phone calls, found a friend who occasionally went to cattle sales and stuff. And he said that he never saw Highlands there. Every few years he may see one. But he said he would keep an eye out. And he called us later that day and said he found us a pregnant one. And so we got her delivered a couple weeks later, and then started looking for a bull and found a herd for sale on Craigslist. And the first one was in March. And by June, we had 29.
So was that planned to have that many, or that it just kind of happened?
It was a herd disposal. And once we started doing the math, we're like, we just need to buy them all.
Yeah.
Like, we could just raise beef. Like, we should just buy all these animals. It makes sense. It's a better deal.
And we were so inexperienced with anything with cattle that we had no idea how much pasture we needed. And we'd been doing a little research, and, people were putting out a lot of false information out there on the internet, of course, that, Highland cattle, they don't need as good of pasture, and they can,
Really?
they'll eat whatever
and stuff, which wasn't true.
Yeah.
So we thought we could just, they would eat whatever.
So we just
quickly.
So we just fenced off some crappy property and turned them out in it. And boy, we learned the hard way that they need good pasture and good food. And the first night that we turned out the 24 that came, we went to check on them the next morning early, and they were all gone. They'd all busted through the fence.
And they were cheap for a reason. They had never been handled. So that was fun.
But it took us close to a year. They were almost all registered, and it took us close to a year to get them tame enough to where we could check their tattoos and sort out all the registration. And once we began to do that, that process, we learned a lot about the Highland Cattle Registry. And obviously through that period of time, we learned a ton about cattle. And we sold several during that period of time. And how we would sell them is we didn't really pick the ones we didn't like or the ones we liked or whatever. We would just park a trailer. We had an old rickety wooden cattle trailer that we'd park in the pasture. We'd back it down in there and open the back door and just pour a line of grain into the back of the trailer. And then whichever one got on there was the one we would sell.
Yeah. We didn't have panels. We didn't have any way to catch them.
Nothing.
We tied a string to the door.
Yeah.
So we put a trail of grain and had to close it really fast. My dad sat on his porch and just laughed at us. Yeah. He's like, it's never going to work.
But we ended up selling enough cows in that first year, though, to pay for the ones that we kept. And then kind of began to look for better ones. And yeah, so it was a really tough first year for sure.
So when you first got them, what was the goal when you had them? I know you mentioned beef. Was that the ultimate goal, was to raise them for beef, or? Yeah,
100%. Her uncle had a heart attack, and they told him that he couldn't eat red meat. And so Highlands was one of the breeds of beef that is very low in cholesterol. And so, so a lot of, we researched some stuff that said different hospitals had got Highland beef for heart patients that still wanted to eat meat. And so we thought, well, if our uncle can eat it, it's got to be good beef. And so that was kind of one of the determining factors on the breed to begin with, was that reason, and just the quality of beef that that we had heard about. But beef was definitely the main goal. Also, I had some sub goals as far as like I said, I went to school for fish and wildlife management, forestry, outdoor education. I wanted to be able to manage property with cattle too, and manage wildlife at the same time. And so we just kind of fenced off a mountain and let the cattle go in and clear out the mid and understories of the pasture or the forest, and open it back up for different species of wildlife: white-tailed deer, wild turkey, quail, grouse. Even got ended up managing for woodpeckers and stuff like that as well. So yeah, the health of our forests have gotten much better because of them. But yeah, that was a one of the goals as well.
What were some of your other goals?
Really was, I mean, just providing quality meat to our community was the main like romantic goal that we had. We had a great farmers market, and of course, being very naive when we first started, we were all into like, oh, we want to do organic and non-GMO, and like we want to do like all this and that, you know, and not really knowing anything. And so it was a huge learning curve. Like, I don't know, I feel like we were lied to a lot in that process, you know, about the whole non-GMO movement, organic movement, and like we were just kind of naive to the whole deal. And so we ran into a lot of hiccups there. But we were also raising chickens at the same time.
Well, the reason we got into chickens, I mean, we were doing some for eggs, but the reason we got into meat chickens is the farmers market said they already had a beef person, but Highland beef was different, and they would allow us into the market if we brought chicken also, because they needed chickens. So like, okay, we'll order lots of chickens and start raising pastured poultry. And but then so we got in over our heads pretty fast with chickens.
Yeah,
too.
So we decided we're gonna raise like 200 to 400 chickens every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And
You went for it.
Took from ourselves. What initially happened is we thought we were going to be able to, like she said, like we were going to be able to do beef at the farmers market, and it turned out the other beef producer was, you know, not having it. And so they told us that we couldn't sell beef at the market. And so now we had all these cows, these steers and things that we couldn't sell unless we were basically just like hustling on the side. But our chicken was doing pretty well. And so we kind of started like just rolling with the chicken process instead of beef. And it was our, for sure, our safest and best bet at the time, to just continue with chicken. It was hard work. I think chickens are much harder than beef.
Do you still have chickens?
Not currently. I actually have some ordered for this spring.
Just egg layers.
We're
Not
gonna
200.
No, never again.
Yeah, and we're done with meat. Cow, so much easier.
At the same time, while we were doing chicken, we still had cows, and so we had to figure out a way to make money on cattle since we weren't raising them for beef. And I decided to start an Instagram page and just post like cute pictures of Highland cows, because why not? And lo and behold, it kind of like took off a little bit, like started getting a lot of followers. And then I guess it was it the second or third year we had the calf baby James was born. It's kind of like a bad situation. You probably, I'm sure, have heard the story about baby James, but he was basically the goose with the golden egg for us, so to speak. And when we posted his story online, and we didn't do it to make money, it was never intentional. It was just like, hey, look at this poor little pitiful calf. Like,
It's just I'm sharing day-to-day life,
Yeah.
just what we were doing and his struggles and stuff, and
it just
it went viral.
Yeah, struck a chord with the internet community, and people started like, oh, what can we do to help? Like, we want to help you guys. Like, and we're like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean you want to help us? And so we had the idea of selling T-shirts with baby James's image on it. And man, we sold like a few thousand T-shirts.
Wow.
Well, it paid. Like, he had to have multiple surgeries, so we did the T-shirts to fund that, and then the story just took off.
Yeah, paid for all the vet bills, and then by that time, our internet following just began to blow up, and people just wanted more and more. Like, they wanted to hear, they wanted their heartstrings pulled. They wanted to see cute pictures. And by this time, like, we were obviously still raising meat, but we started getting a lot of backlash from the vegan community. And so that, comments like, I can't believe you would eat these beautiful creatures and this kind of thing. And
we weren't doing beef at the time. We were just doing chicken.
Yeah.
But
so it was a whole lot at one time. And so during that whole Baby James saga, we had to like really buckle down and figure out what the heck what are we even doing? Because honestly, up until that point, we were just kind of cruising. We didn't really even know what direction the farm was going. And so it began to drastically change at that time.
Well, right after that, I guess that was the year the main restaurant we were selling to ended up going out of business. So it was their big chicken customer, and the processing facility we were using closed down. And so it just was time to transition out of that.
Yeah.
So tell us about that process. Tell us how, we understand Baby James kind of spurred you to think differently about your marketing and your program, but to look at where you all are today with everything that you're doing to support the feed costs and, that just the overall breeding program at all, overall, just tell us how you kind of went from point A to point B.
So once we realized we weren't going to be able to do chicken anymore, and then so many people were invested in these cattle and their cuteness and all these things, we had to figure out rather quickly, like, what are we going to do with these cows? Realized like we weren't going to be able to do chickens anymore, and then we weren't doing beef, and then we had all these animals. Like, we needed to figure out a way to make it sustainable. Either we were going to have to sell them all and just start from scratch, but we had invested so much time and energy into this farm, or what you would call a farm at the time. We needed to figure out a way to make money and progress our love for these animals. So that was around there in that time is we began to meet a lot of other Highland breeders. And so I began to like research more in depth, like about the breed and like how to produce better quality animals. And so I decided that I was going to start raising like cow-calf pairs and breeding stock and that kind of thing. And so during all this process, we have, especially with the Instagram deal, like a ton of people had been contacting us about buying calves and cows. And so we had to figure out.
Were those people just hobby farmers, or did they already have their own herd of Highland?
Most of them were hobby farmers. People that had moved on old farmland or old pasture that was grown up and wanted a few things to just keep it mowed down. And most everyone we started selling to at first were new farmers, and educate them, and but as it's grown, we've been selling to established breeders too.
Yeah, a lot of the first folks that we sold to knew about as much about cows as we did, which is not much. And so we of course, through trial and error, like, we made a lot of good decisions and we made a lot of bad decisions. Some of the bad decisions were rather embarrassing, like looking back at it. But it was just what was, we just didn't know. Like, and I mean, we sold some cows to California, like right outside of LA, and a great home. Like, they were very well taken care of. But looking back, I probably wouldn't have done that, just because of the climate. I don't know, my gosh, like when people would contact us from California or Oregon or Idaho or wherever, and they're like, oh, hey, we want a Highland cow. Like, how can we get one? We're like, oh, we'll bring it to you. Like, free road trip, And so we would charge a delivery fee, and then we would get a road trip out of it, and get to see the country. And that was what we love to do. That's our favorite hobby or pastime, so to speak, is road tripping. so if like our two favorite things at the time began to like intermingle, and this was like, man, this is the greatest thing ever. So we wanted more of that. Like, so anytime people would reach out to us about buying cows, we'd, oh, where are you located? Like, we'd love to come see your farm. um, so the sales of like calves and things like gradually just began to increase, and to the point that we couldn't sustain the amount of people that were requesting animals. So we had to figure out how are we going to raise more animals, or how are we going to raise more quality animals, and so we began to like reach out to the established Highland community to figure out our next step.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because when I got to meet you both in person for the first time, it was at the Denver Stock Show. And I think you had 3 head or 4 head?
3 there.
3 there that you were showing of your own breeding, right? Or one was purchased and...
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us how you got from the point of, you said you made some mistakes maybe that you didn't realize mistakes at the time and sought out advice and stuff. How did you get from there to having your own high quality animals for the halter show?
Yeah, so once we had joined the American Highland Cattle Association, they send out a newsletter or a magazine. I guess it's quarterly each season. It's called the Bagpipe, and there's tons of good articles and information in there about breeding and feeding, minerals, all that sort of stuff. Like how do you grow quality animals, and then like it talking about like head shape, horn shape, feet, udders, depth and width, and all these things about cows that I knew nothing about. I'm like, I thought they were all just supposed to be cute, like I didn't know that they were like supposed to look like beef producing animals. And so once I began to like see other people's animals had been raised in Highlands for 30 years, I'm like, wow, my cows don't look that good. Like I want my cows like that. And so I started looking for better producers. Like, so I bought a new bull, and I bought, like several new cows that had good udders and good, good feet. And, that was that nice stereotypical Scottish looking animal. And I kind of knew the look that I was going for, and it's taken quite a while to start getting there. So I guess over the last 4 years, I've really begun to like breed for a particular style of animal. And this year was the first year that really has come to fruition, as far as like getting calves on the ground that I've put a ton of work into producing the look and whatever that was going for.
You said you created an Instagram account and you got some traction that way with everybody. Did you do other marketing as well besides Instagram, or was it solely Instagram that got your name and your farm out there to everyone?
We did Facebook. It was for promoting just, we were going to be at the farmer's market or something.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a Facebook page. I think Instagram, though, is where it really took off, because it was before, before they changed Instagram, before, I don't know, before they changed the algorithm. So I don't know, it was just a different format then, and kind of learned how to use it. And I don't know. And it took off. Facebook was harder to work without paying for advertising. Instagram at that time was a lot easier to, once you figured out how their algorithm worked, it was a lot easier to, boost your photos and stuff. It wasn't ever the intention originally, but we learned, how to use it.
Well, the biggest thing with Instagram, like during that whole deal with Baby James, like going back to that and selling T-shirts, that kind of like we really didn't know what to do, like as far as selling merchandise. And so we began to look and realize that there was kind of a hole in the market for Highland cattle merchandise. Like anything. There was just nothing. And anything that you'd look up on eBay or Etsy or Amazon or whatever, like Highland Cow t-shirt, Highland Cow hat, whatever. And it was just really kind of lame, like just not very, nothing that I would ever want to purchase. And so we realized that there was a hole for whatever. And it just, the world's your oyster. And so we began looking into like doing stuffed animals and t-shirts and hats and stickers and socks. And I mean,
I like the socks.
yeah. And so we just started like putting it out there, and like, we just went for it. And like, heck, if this works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so we started producing merchandise and, like designing stuff on our own, like helping friends design stuff for us, and basically made a warehouse in the upstairs part of her jewelry store. Yeah. And started shipping out orders, and people from all over the world started buying stuff. And so we realized that, wow, this is a good way to have a medium income, like, and help sustain the animals that we have while doing what we're passionate about with the breed. And so that intermediate, like, income from merchandise sales, like, has boosted us and given us the ability to literally buy hay and crane and keep these animals healthy and well, while being able to produce animals for other people to purchase and enjoy as well.
And not all of the merchandise is branded Happy Hens and Highlands. Like, part of its success is because it's just cute Highland apparel. It doesn't necessarily all have your logo on it or all have your branding on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We started out, it was just farm t-shirts and stuff. And then, and the Baby James things. And then we started doing, just more generic Highland merchandise. And also I teamed up with a couple companies in the UK and import some of their Highland merchandise, like whiskey glasses. And so they have like some higher quality stuffed animals. So I've been getting some from there, just generic Highland items.
No,
So was the babe, go ahead, sorry.
Well, just the one benefit to having Highlands, like, I mean, they're very beautiful, cute, whatever. And so and the area we live in, there's a lot of like really great artists. And so we would reach out to like someone, a painter or drawer or whatever, and like, hey, would you draw a picture of her Highland cow? And they're like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest animal I've ever seen. Like, of course I'll do it, And sometimes like people would do it for free or like for cheap to nothing. And so we had these great like graphics designers and like artists and stuff that were drawing these images for us, that just because they wanted to. And so that really helped with merchandise and stuff like that.
So is that kind of what led you to decide to do the Baby James book that you launched this year?
Yeah. This girl found us on Instagram. She was in high school in Germany, and I've been wanting to do a book, but I didn't know where to begin. And anyway, she reached out to me and asked if she could practice drawing some of her cows. And once I looked at her artwork, I'm like, I will pay you, to draw our animals. Like, your work's amazing. So she did a few designs for stickers for me. And then I told her about the idea for the book and asked if she would be interested in doing that project. So she did that. And it took a while to get all the artwork together because she was in high school at the time and just really busy. And took about a year, but finally got it launched.
And so the book is available on your web store that you have. Is it also on Amazon?
Not yet.
Okay.
Right now it's just on the website.
Okay.
I guess we got the book printed. It was right before Denver, and then I had big plans of launching it on Amazon and doing a bunch of book signing stuff this year. And then the virus happened, and
here we are.
So yeah, it's delayed a bunch of stuff like that. So
Love what you're hearing? Be sure to check out our Pickup Truck Confessions. It's a video series where we hop in the truck or rental car
and interview a variety of breeders about what drives their passion for their livestock, how they got started in the breed of their choice, marketing tips, and more.
And now back to the podcast.
So it sounds like all the marketing that you've done so far has been on social media and through the website and stuff. Do you do anything locally?
Not a lot. Like, I mean, we've done like a few like Facebook like meetup type things, like where we went to our local coffee shop in Burnsville, and we did. They wanted to do a book signing event, and like to be honest, like I mean, they're just incredible people. Like this coffee shop is like the hub of our town, and so they asked.
What's it called so we can so we can recognize them?
Yeah, it's called Appalachian Java.
Okay.
And yeah, just great folks that run it, and just all their employees are awesome. Wonderful place. And so they asked us if we would be interested in doing the book signing. And we're like, yeah, sure. And like, we honestly figured like it's probably not going to do, like maybe 2 or 3 people like super fans or like whatever will show up.
And it was overcast that day.
Yeah,
it didn't,
rainy, whatever.
We didn't expect much.
Or it's like we went up there and like took James and we're like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like honestly, like this, I don't even know. Like, oh, I don't even want to do this right now.
Well, he was he stood outside the coffee shop, and we thought it was going to rain on us all day, and weren't sure how it was going to work. And it was a huge turnout.
Yeah, it was. We were blown away. Like there were so many people showed up from our local town. Like, and even people like from all over came. Like it was crazy how many and we sold like no telling how many books.
I don't know.
Like,
we sold every one that we had brought with us, but I didn't know
it was
could have sold more. I didn't know how many people were how many people would show up. So
we had people like people were bringing like their infant babies to like come meet baby James. And then there was one lady, I think she was 96 years old, came to meet baby James. And I was, we're just so flattered and like taken aback, like, wow, this is crazy. But that's kind of been the whole story of like from the beginning of the farm even up until now is just people who have supported us, believed in our vision, and just helped us, to succeed. Like if it would have been left up to my own devices, like this whole deal would have just went down the crapper. Like honestly, because I'm not a huge self-starter or self-motivated, but like when people are getting behind you and like encouraging you and sending you encouraging messages and just countless messages of people on daily, like, oh, thank you so much for doing what you do, like you're so like you made my life so much better, like all these things. I'm like, it just flipping blows my mind because I'm like, I'm literally just over here doing my thing, posting pictures of cats, and it's changing people's lives. And I'm like, all right then, like I'm just gonna keep doing it because whatever. If it makes one person happy, it's worth it. For me to keep going.
But you all also do, you do a lot of work to make sure that people can interact with the animals if they want to as well. So like how you mentioned you had baby James at the actual book signing. I know I've seen on your social media, I've seen like Scottish festivals that you'll take the cattle to. And I know, Emily, you've told me about other similar events all over that you'll haul 1 to 3, 4 head to so that people can see them in person. So I'm sure that makes a difference in your following and their loyalty as well, right?
Yeah. We I guess the first big event we did, it was right after one of our photos that went viral, and we got contacted by the Highland Games in Florida, and they hired us to come down there and take cows, and that was awesome. And so we started looking to for other festivals and events to do, and
it's the Northeast Florida Highland Games in Green Cove Springs, Florida.
So did you already have the kilt, Adam, or did you have to buy one special?
I would never put a kilt on. Like you can force me, and then like after like second year going down there, it was so hot. It's like 80 degrees, miserable, and I'm like, man, these guys, they really got it figured out. Like they've got a kilt on. Like I bet you they're getting a nice breeze, like whatever. And so that next year I bought a kilt online, and I'm like, hey, like let's try this out, and whatever. Like it was fun. Like it's dorky, like whatever. I'd kind of get into character and just like enjoy yourself. I'm like, whatever. So
So do
yeah.
you have a matching one, Emily?
No, no, not there yet.
Are there other events similar to that you all have had a good experience with?
Last year, a friend of mine and we went to was it Radford College in Virginia and did a great event there. We've done some down in Nashville, Middle Tennessee Highland Games.
We did the one in Asheville.
Yeah, we've done several with Highland Brewing Company before they rebranded. Highland Brewing Company, you know, they had their Scottish fellow playing the bagpipes, so that was their mascot, and so very Scottish oriented, whatever. And so they would do like a Celtic game, Celtic Fest, or whatever, and just even random events they would have us come out and help us. Yeah, like Easter egg hunts and stuff like that. And oh, even one year, I think it might have been the Easter egg hunt. We had a couple of girls from Ireland that came to the event, and they happened to be in the States at the time and found out that we were going to be in Asheville, and they flew to Asheville or whatever.
Then we do the Christmas photos with the cows and
nativities, living nativities.
Yeah, we did. And then it's on the farm with them. And then
I'm sorry.
Oh, we've been doing the photo shoots on the farm with the cows, and then somebody wants us, if it happens this year with everything going on, but we're supposed to bring a cow to somebody's wedding, so we'll see if that pans out.
So the photo shoots seem like something that would be very easy to organize, and that could be applicable to a lot of other breeds and breeding programs as an easy way to get people out to your ranch, you know, get to be around the cattle, maybe answer some questions. Are there any other things that you do that we haven't covered that you feel like have helped you grow and that would be easy for other breeders to adapt?
I don't know. I mean, if I gave anybody a word of advice like that has been helpful for us is to be flexible and diverse, and not, don't put yourself in a corner or whatever. Like be willing to be different and like try new things, because like my kind of like go-to phrase is like, we have no excuse to not like be successful in the market that we've been given through the internet now. And so we've, there's possibilities are endless. It's just figuring out what you're good at and just going for it. And it was like the photo shoot deal, like I was like, this is crazy. Like I'm not having people come out on the farm and take pictures. And the deal before that was the farm tours. And so tons of people wanted to do farm tours, but it was taking so much time out of my day that I couldn't actually do any real work. And so I was spending 2, 3, 4 hours a day with people, just like letting them look at cows and feed them treats and stuff. And it's fun and fine, but it wasn't sustainable. And so with the photo shoots, we were able to have people out for an hour and a half, like a whole family. Like, I mean, they're paying decent money for quality time. And so they get to spend good, like a private session with them out with the cows, just hanging out. And then they go home with some really great memories and photographs to boot. And so it was more sustainable and better. And so it was just figuring out what's best for us and what's best for our followers as well.
So while we're talking about photos, I know that on your social media, you all have posted a lot of photos of the really cute newborn baby calves. Sometimes they have their tongues out, sometimes you're giving them a hug. And a lot of that has led to you being able to educate the public about the misconceptions about the breed. A lot of people, as I understand it, have thought that they'll stay like that forever. A calf is a mini cow or being marketed that way. Tell us a little bit about what you feel like your duty is as experienced breeders now to make sure that the internet has correct information for future breeders.
Well, when we first started with James, we weren't really thinking of those things. We were just posting cute photos and, didn't expect any of that stuff to go viral. And don't know, I had dog costumes, so I dressed him up in silly costumes and just had fun with him, because we had this sick calf we're bottle raising, but just to entertain ourselves, I took a lot of silly photos, and I didn't really realize the ramifications of those. Like when they went viral, and just even all the photos of bottle feeding and things, or the video clips, I didn't think of like, the negative that could come of that. So people assume that you just get a cow and you dress it in costumes, or you take it to the beach. When we go to Florida to the Highland Games, we'll stop and take a few photos sometimes of the cows on the beach, but didn't think that, people would be like, oh, I should get a cow and I should just take it walking on the beach.
Yeah, the intentions was never to like that. The thing is our intentions were honestly innocent. Like we had, like, for one, we were pretty much ignorant. Like we had no idea what we were doing, but it was just fun for us. And like, we didn't know that like what this was going to start, or what this was, what was going to happen as a result.
And then the costumes with the calves, like I thought they looked like Ewoks, so I'm like, oh, I'm going to make an Ewok costume and just dress him up as one. And then I'm like, oh, that was fun. I'm going to get him more costumes, and just silly stuff like that. But then once that stuff went viral, it made me realize I need to educate people with it. Like if I post a cute photo, put some kind of disclaimer, because some people will take this stuff literally and think, when we had a calf inside our house, it wasn't because I wanted to have a cow inside my house. We didn't have a barn. So we just, that's where we had to put him. So it was
awful. Don't have a cow in your house. It's terrible.
Horrible idea.
Bad idea.
So people were definitely viewing your pictures more as you treating them like family pets versus actual livestock.
Yeah, they were taking it literally, like, oh wow, yeah, you can just have a Highland cow in your house. Like obviously it's a mini cow, and they thought that that James or Timmy or whichever, that, oh, that's a full grown animal. Well, like I can have them in our house.
People took those photos and just put false captions with them. Yeah. You would get these, I don't know, just these clickbait articles, and they would just make up whatever. They would use a few photos and say these were full-grown miniature cows, and you can house train them, and crazy stuff, and it was also like the photos and stuff we did. It was cute at the time, but it also took a while to even be taken seriously with other breeders, because we were just having fun, and I don't know, it took a while to be taken seriously after that. So I've tried to be really careful now about what we post and educate, and I don't know, just make sure that people know the whole picture, and and not just post a cute photo because it's just fun. Like if I'm going to post a cute one, like post the truth behind it.
So with that first picture of baby James that went viral, is there something in particular that you use, like certain hashtags, or how do you think people found the picture?
Well, it was really, we had one photo that went viral before James, and it was a photo of Adam holding a calf that looked like a teddy bear. And that was the first image we had that went viral. And I don't think it was the hashtags or anything, because it was a whole year later after we had posted it. It ended up on Imager and Reddit, and then that one went viral. And then with James, by that time we did start using hashtags, but it was just cute baby animals, things like that, and then I don't know, people just got a hold of them, and
it was more organic than anything. It just was unintentional.
Just happened.
Yeah, I don't know what hashtags I was using. Just I didn't have a plan with the hashtags. It was just
just posting pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, the lesson that I take from you all's experience in social media that I feel like we could apply to some of our customers in other breeds is you don't focus just on picture after picture of here's a well-conformed cow, or a cow with, the horn set that I like, or the coat that I like, and here's their pedigree. You really focus on what makes you fall in love with them in the first place, which is usually their cuteness, or maybe their disposition and the relationship that you have with them. And so you make sure that you stay focused on that in your marketing, even though, like you said, you're trying to build your breeding program, you're trying to build your pedigrees. It's still important in the marketing to do other things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we can educate so many more people about the breed by posting a cute picture of a calf now than if we just posted a nice, like, show cow, show heifer, whatever image. People see that and they're like, oh, it's just another cow, like, whatever. But then they see a cute picture of a calf, and they're going to pause and look at it and then maybe read the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we've been able to educate a lot of people about the breed. And yeah, you're right. Like, we don't want to lose touch by what made us fall in love with that animal. And it's the same with all breeds. Like, it doesn't matter if you're breeding pigs or goats or longhorns or Highlands or Galloways, or it doesn't matter. Like, each person's going to be attracted to a different style or breed of cattle. There's several other breeds of cows that we're really in love with. We just kind of like Highlands the most. Like English Longhorns is another breed that I'm just infatuated by. Like, I love them so much. Like, and Galloways, even Longhorns. Like, Longhorns are incredible. There's so many breeds, but yeah, like just not forgetting like why you liked them to begin with.
So when you do make a post on Instagram, how do you decide whether it's an actual post, or when you put it on your story? Is there guidelines that you try to follow when you do that, or just whatever you're feeling?
I don't know. For a while, I guess we did try to do a formula to it and try to be consistent and post a certain time each day. But most of the time now, it's just when we have a break, and I don't know, I'll go out in the field and I'll take like 60 photos. That's my favorite thing to do, is just take photos of the cows with my telephoto lens and just hang out with them and snap photos.
Well, too, like most Instagram pages that you see that have a ton of followers, they're like, the platform's like laid out really nicely. They're all kind of edited the same way. They're like really beautiful looking pages. And our page just kind of reflects like who we are in that way. Like, we're just kind of a mess. Like, we don't clean our house. Like, we barely wash the dishes. Like, we track poop all through the house, like cow manure. Like, we're just a wreck in a way, like in that way. But like, and our page kind of reflects that. It's just kind of like all over the place, but it's just real though. It's real life. It's who we are. Like, it's not staged. Like, and anytime that we've tried to like go away from that and like try to like clean up, polish the edges, it's not been good for us. And so we're just like, whatever, like, just keep doing what we're doing. Like, it's working. Like, it's fine for us. It's who we.
Do you get a better response on post or on like the stories?
People really seem to like stories lately. Videos, I get a video clip though is like what does the best, more than a photo. Videos always do so much better. So a video post probably is our best response, and then I would say stories.
So give us some examples of some things that you take videos of that could apply to other types of breeders.
Brushing them and feeding them treats, that's about people's favorite, is just seeing, you brush a cow. I guess it's kind of therapeutic to watch. Brushing them, and they love watching the cows eat, and of course calves.
And personally, I would love to be more methodical about our videos. Like, I'd love to do videos on like how to halter train a calf, or like how to check a cow for mastitis, or like how to milk a cow, or like, how do we check for lice, or how do you put an injectable wormer or pour-on wormer, or like how do you run one through a handling facility. I'd love to do videos like that, but that's just not, our audience just doesn't allow for that really. And so I did start another Instagram page like on my own to be able to have a platform to do those things. And so eventually I will like begin to like do more stuff like that on that page.
And we tried to do YouTube, but I don't know, we had a hard time transitioning over to another platform.
YouTube is too much work, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
It's hard to carry followers from one to another, though. Really,
it's total. You know, just the different platform. You have to start from scratch one and gain followers, and they're looking. YouTube people are looking for something totally different than Facebook and Instagram, and so to learn the new platform, it's tough. And yeah, most of these other platforms, your followers just don't take the time to go over there and find you. So.
Do you post the exact same thing on Instagram that you do on Facebook, or do you change it?
Sometimes, I mean, a lot of the Instagram posts I do just automatically share to Facebook, but then Facebook offers that fan or subscriptions. So I do have a few people there. I post, you know, when I go in the field and take 60 photos, I post them all for just the subscribers. So they get extra content or they get extra live streams. But usually the photos or, you know, my daily post it's usually the same, except for what the subscribers get on Facebook.
have you played around with TikTok at all?
Yeah,
We
so
just
like
started.
I think it's like 5 days ago, from my Instagram page, I started a TikTok page called Real Farmer Adam, and that's just like Farmer Adam's just like a couple kids at church call me that. I don't know, and it's kind of stuck. And so I just started a page called Real Farmer Adam on Instagram, and then did a TikTok, and I uploaded just like a few like regurgitated videos from the past, a couple videos of baby James and like different ones like with the calf Carolina that we had, super cute, and it blew up. Like it went crazy. Like the one video on there's got, you know, over 200 views. And, I mean, it was crazy. Yeah.
I had tried to start a farm TikTok, but nothing was really happened with it. And then he did his own.
I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try this and see what happens, and it like went crazy. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with it.
So now will you kind of adapt a plan to try to leverage some of that following and tie it in with all of your other marketing and growing the farm and everything?
Yeah, for sure. And so like you have to keep you have to, like I said before, like you have to be flexible and willing to like transition to wherever, you know, whatever's profitable, you know. And so if I can make money on TikTok, like selling merchandise through a link, you know, I'm gonna do it. Like, why wouldn't you? You know, it's a tool that's been given to us. It's available. It's there. And so I'm gonna try it and see what happens. And I've made merchandise sales, you know, and from there. And it ultimately it's all about like being able to put food on the table. Like it's a job, and you have to treat it that way at the end of the day. But it doesn't have to be hard work or whatever. I mean, it can be enjoyable. And if I didn't like doing what we're doing, I sure the heck would be like I don't know. My brain's all over the place all the time, and like but I truly like love doing what we're doing, and so I just constantly coming up with creative ways to make income, while at the same time offering quality content to people without a fee, or so you can get on and look at our content and come to these free events and all these things. You never have to spend a dime with us, but if you want to, like, we also offer etc., whatever. And so just constantly adapting, moving.
That's a great way to explain it, though, because I think so many livestock breeders look at social media as a chore. It's just one more thing they don't want to have to add in their day. And I think your approach to it, where it's just part of your day and you're not having to stage anything, you're not having to, you're just your genuine self. And granted, Emily, I know you use a really nice camera. You don't use, your phone necessarily. So that's an extra step. But ultimately, you're just showing what you do throughout your day, and people are relating to it. And it's paid off, in the end with various sales. So I think it's great advice.
Well, I think the photography side of it, like, just kind of came natural. Like, I've always been a hobby photographer, always really enjoyed it. Emily loves it too. And so it's just that is just kind of been a natural aspect to it because we
But
always have a camera.
but the
Doesn't
cell
matter.
phone photos though have done as good as the
Yeah.
real camera photos.
Sure.
I prefer using the real camera. It's more fun, and I can stay at a distance and observe them and do videos, without bothering the cows.
Yeah, we did buy a fixed. I think it was a fixed 400 millimeter lens, or maybe it's 200 millimeter. I don't even know. But it was just like you can take pictures of calves and like you don't have to be up in their face like scaring them. And so we honestly like with our calves in the pasture, like we interact with them like day 1 and 2. We'll go in there and like check them, like give them a shot, like multi-man, and tag them, make sure that they've got all 10 fingers and 10 toes, so to speak, and make sure they're healthy and they're nursing. And after that, we basically leave them alone until close to weaning, and then at about a month or 2 of age, like we'll start introducing them to like a creep feed. And then that kind of like allows them to start taming themselves, and then they become more interested in us. But that's, we honestly like very minimal interactions. And that's where like using decent equipment, like with a good lens, like you can give the appearance of like we're, here in their face, like whatever, but really we're, not bothering them.
Well, a lot of people will take photos of calves, and you can see that, they'll send me a cell phone photo of an animal, and it's so pixelated because the animal's way off in the field, and it makes a big difference, when you're selling animals to get good photos of them. And then, I don't know, observing them just walking around naturally and just moving the way they normally would from a distance. Being able to get good photos and videos makes a big difference when it's, when you're selling them.
So what haven't we covered that you feel you could give some advice to other breeders trying to grow their social media following or developing a marketing strategy? What else do you guys have that you could share?
I mean, I basically covered everything I can think of, but just the main thing is just being flexible and just like being willing to like try new things and not like giving up so quickly. And a lot of things, like Emily's like a good motivator to me, like more like you're gonna do this or else, basically. I mean, not so harshly that way, but like there'll be times like she'll be like, hey, let's like go get some pictures of some cows today, or like because we need to sell some calves, like we need to get some pictures. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing it today. She's like, no, like we really need to do this. And I'm like, all right, yeah. But just being, just willing to just work too. Like it's not all just natural and easy and perfect all the time. Like there's days on the farm that just really suck. Like just it rains a lot here in North Carolina. Like it is super muddy and windy and cold and hot, and this is the most bipolar environment I've ever been in my life. And so like there's certain days like you don't feel like going out and checking on cows or doing whatever, but you do it anyways because you love it. And just being willing to work and like put the work into it. And I don't know.
So do you have a set number of posts that you try to get in every week, or does it just vary from week to week?
It varies. I mean, there's really no formula to it. I mean, I try not to do more than a couple a day. I try to at least post every other day, and I try not to spam people too much. But I mean, some days when I've got cute photos, I might do like 3 maximum, like in a day. But I usually try to keep it at 1 per day.
Yeah, I get annoyed when I see Emily's posting like more than a couple times in a day. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, so annoying. But because I see a lot of folks on like that we follow on Facebook or wherever, and you get multiple notifications that they've posted something in a day, like back to back to back, and I'm like I'm probably just gonna unfollow that person because that's super annoying. And so like if I gave anyone advice like as far as posting on social media, like keep it simple and like don't over post, like don't undersell yourself or don't under post, but like if you post a photo in a day, like maybe don't post two, but like maybe post a photo and then like a couple additional photos of that same session on your story, or like get a little more in depth. And so, if your story's there, like you don't have to look at both or one or the other or whatever.
Well, that's what was nice is the story feature is, you can post whatever you want on that, but on the actual feed, I try not to. Two is about I don't even normally do 2 a day, but if there's some really cute stuff, we may do that, but typically just 1 a day.
Well, and if you happen to get 15 great photos in one day, that's just, you can spread that out to the next 15 days worth of content.
Yeah. My phone right now, I think I've got like 25,000 photos up on it though. It's like all it is cow photos.
For every 300 pictures we take, we probably post 2, honestly. But that's just because we just like taking pictures, honestly. And, it's, I don't know. We don't ever go out into the pasture or wherever. Like, we don't ever go out with the intentions to get Instagram photos. That's never our intention. It just happens. Like, we're there and like, we see something cute, and Emily will be like, "Oh my God, go grab the camera. Like, this is so cute." And then half the time, like, the coolest thing happens, and then you never get a picture of it. Like, yesterday, she was, I think she posted a TikTok of a cow that had grabbed a bag of treats. Mana Pro had sent us a bunch of apple treats, and she picked it up and she just starts like slinging it, head banging it. It was like the funniest thing, and it's so rare.
Well, that had happened though. I was live streaming, and thankfully I downloaded my live stream and I was able to clip the one section out of it. But yeah, they never do. That never happens. Like, when you want to catch stuff like that video. But thankfully that was in the middle of a live stream, and I was able to save it.
So Adam brought up something we haven't discussed yet. You mentioned that, sometimes you have suppliers that will send you samples of their products, or I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the ranch is kind of sponsored by Carhartt, or is that the right wording?
We don't get any money.
They're a supporter.
Okay. Yeah, they're a supporter. It's not, so they do send us clothing. I've reached out to a few companies. Tartar sent us a cradle feeder. And Carhartt sent us clothing.
Company
so
first Saturday.
Not to interrupt, but just so folks can kind of learn from this, you used your social media following, the quantity of people that see your posts, to be able to approach these companies, correct?
Yeah, I reached out through direct message to some different companies, and I tried it at different amounts of followers we had. I reached out to different companies, and the more followers, we got, definitely got more responses. But it's a weird market. If we were raising, or if we had dogs or cats with this many followers, or if it was beauty stuff, or fashion, it would be a lot easier to get sponsors. When it's, agriculture, they're not really into influencers as much as other products are. So it was kind of hard to find companies to even work with, but I reached out to different ones. And I've had, or Tractor Supply, we have done the only paid campaigns we've done. We did a few Instagram stories for Tractor Supply, and it was just a special event they were having, and they wanted to work with influencers. So we did get a paid gig with Tractor Supply, and everything else has just been for product.
So we'll probably do a separate podcast episode about this, Emily, but tell us a little bit about Cow Match and kind of how you took everything that you've learned through marketing and, the breeding side of the pedigree side of Highlands and everything, and just give us a little overview of that, and then we can dig into it a little deeper next time we talk.
Well, people started contacting us, for asking where to buy Highland cattle. If we didn't have something for sale, they would ask where to buy. But it became difficult, just trying to connect buyers and sellers. And also though, when people would make purchases from us, they would buy a couple cows from us. And then when they were ready for a bull, they would come back to us. And so but then when you send them to someone else, you don't get anything out of it. It's great to refer people to other breeders, but it's also, we may be cutting ourselves out of future sales.
Mm-hmm.
So we were trying to think of a way to help our friends out and also make a little bit of money. Because I get emails, I don't know, crazy amounts of emails all the time, people wanting to buy cattle, and there's no way to raise the amount of animals to meet demand. So we were trying to just kind of brainstorming on something we could do, and came up with a website, Cow Match. And so it's been a little slow getting it off the ground just because of the timing, with everything that's happened this year. I'm waiting for, a lot of people are just now getting ready to wean their calves, and they'll be posting them on the website. But I started it in mud season, so not the best time for people to photograph their cows and put them online. But it's getting pretty out, and hoping, as it comes into summer, we'll have a lot more listings on the site.
And so that'll basically be like an online for sale site where people can go. You also have a live auction near you in North Carolina, right?
Yes. We do the live auction. It's going to be, I think it's the second weekend in October this year. It's in Sparta, North Carolina, and it's the Southeastern Highland Cattle Auction. And there's been nothing in this part of the country. There's a sale in the Midwest. There's one in Denver, and then there's one in Wisconsin, maybe, or yeah. And that's all there is. And there's nothing in this part of the country. There are a few like exotic animal auctions, but not crazy about some of those sale barns. They're not the cleanest places. And we wanted to have a really quality sale and make sure the animals are healthy, that, be really picky about what we allow into the sale. Because, let a sick animal in there, you put a lot of animals at risk. So we teamed up with a couple other breeders and did I guess this will be our third sale this October, Highland auction in the Southeast.
It's a ton of work, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So if folks are interested in learning more or possibly getting involved, they can attend that auction. They can visit Cow Match, and then go ahead and tell us your other social media handles and your website address so that they know where to find you.
The website is just happyhensandhighlands.com. Facebook and Instagram are both the same thing, Happy Hens and Highlands. And if I'd known things were going to take off, totally would have chose a lot shorter name, shorter website. Would not have went that way with the name. Choose a short name, if I think that's or something easy to remember. That's one piece of advice I'd have, because it's a pain telling people over the phone how to type it out. Cow Match, and then the Southeast Highland Cattle Auction. You can find out information on it on Facebook, or just Google search it.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day and your week to join us for a little bit.
Yeah, thank you guys for all you do for us.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.